gonna call this video the Shrinking Narcissist, because I had many dreams of my narcissist in the spirit realm, where they looked a certain way, and how that changed. And it's so weird. It was almost like they were different entities. But now, after remembering the last one to the very first one in the spirit realm, I know what it is, and wow, this is how the vampires work. It is the shrinking narcissist. So, there was a very specific look. It's kind of a funny look. So at the first discard, and I'm seeing demons manifest, and I saw that my partner was a serpent Nephilim, and then there's demons coming out of their serpent body, and I didn't even see a human soul, and I prayed, and I'm asking God, like, is there any good? Is it just he's possessed by demons? Is there any, like, does he love me at all? Like, not does he love me at all, but I prayed to God to find the truth. And that this was, like, more than a year ago. I can't remember exactly. But I wanted to know if there was any good in him, if the evil was only from the demons, to find out the truth. Because if he did these horrible things to me because of the demons, and that wasn't how he really felt. That's kind of what I was thinking about. So then that night, so I prayed, I asked God to know what was going on, and is he only trying to poison my food and steal everything from me and, ruin my life because of the demon possession, or is this what he truly feels? And so that night, I had a very vivid dream, and I made this video. It's way back on YouTube. You could probably find it if you start at the beginning. So, this dream, it was like his human body with his narcissist head. And his narcissist head was almost like a fly head, but then it had a cat mouth, and it had big eyes. It looks funny. It was kind of cute, but it looks stupid, too. Almost like if there was a wasp with a cat mouth or anything. But it was on top of like a 6-foot tall body that was really fit. It was strong, and it was slender and fast. And it was like veiny. I don't know how to say, like, if you just worked out or something. And then it had this stupid cartoon head on top. And so I am in the dream, and then bam, right away, he's like got his head, he's clamped down and sucking the blood out of my head. So I wake up in my dream. So, okay, I don't know how to say this. As soon as I fall asleep, or as soon as I enter the spirit realm in my dream, then bam, he's standing right next to me, leans down, and starts sucking the blood out of my head. And I was just standing there. And it hurt really bad. And then he pulls back, and I'm like, what the? And so then, and then I start running. I've never been afraid of my ex or anyone. Like, I'm like, hey, you want to fight? People try to intimidate me, and I never let them. Well, I felt like a little bit, it wasn't quite fear, but like, I actually felt a little bit of fear here, because I was just standing there, it was almost like if you just wake up and something's happened, but like, I just started dreaming, and this was happening, and he was sucking the blood out of my head, and it hurt really bad. And then he went to lean down to suck blood out of my head again, and I started running. I'm like, oh shoot, and then it was like Spirited Away, a castle in the sky, and I'm climbing up pipes on the outside, and he's chasing me, going pretty fast, and then, I said, why don't you go down, and I'll go down. So I talked to him like that, but there was a feeling like almost a fear, because I'm like, oh shoot, he's going to suck blood out of my head again, and that hurt. So I start running. So this was the answer to my prayer to God, to know, like, mentally where he was. That's what he thought of me. So he had just sucked the blood out of my brain, I guess, and was like really like strong and fit with a lot of energy and fast, because he just sucked the blood out of my brain, and he was going to suck up more blood. And then there was a long time where I didn't dream about him, and then I had some dreams more recently, and I think this is why, because I said the narcissist is not allowed to be in my dreams anymore unless God is revealing, unless like, and I prayed to God, unless you are teaching me or you're revealing some information or how things work to me through the dream. Well, it took a lot of dreams to figure out that God was revealing this to me. So there was a long period of time I didn't dream of the narc or anything. And then I did dream of the narc again. And then the narc wasn't like on roids or something. I guess that's what sucking blood out of my head does, is it's like testosterone supplements or something. Anyways, next time I see the narcissist, they're still the same height, but they're not like all roided up. Like, they're not super fast, like, I don't know what you would call it, like a really fast zombie or something. But he was still the same height, and then he was more like his human self. So he was normal then. Oh, I remember. Okay, so this is when we were in a building at, like, I think this was a hotel or something. So he was like his human body. So he would have been like that same body, but not roided up, just standing and being normal and calm. So that was the next one. And so this is quite a while. I can't remember everything. And then a few months ago, I had another dream. Well, I think this is when I was like meeting up with angels at the debris store or something. We went down into the basement and saw the cool old wood handmade antiques. And most people couldn't use them, but because I had like a historic home or something that I would have been able to use, and they were just really cool, valuable things. And the narcissist, I remember seeing in this dream, and then who wasn't attacking me. And he was just standing there, maybe the same height, but I don't know. His face was very similar. It was like, but it was in the style of Futurama. So actually the way his face looked kind of like a Futurama character in the very beginning, it was just attached to like some roided up body. And then his body was maybe the same height, but then it was more lanky and not very muscular like a Futurama character. And then his face like wasn't looking angry, it wasn't attacking me, and it just had that kind of blank look like Fry on Futurama. And then I remember I saw the narcissist just standing there, and he wasn't attacking me, and was not threatening. And I had another dream. The last dream I had with my narcissist, where I was happy, we're not going to see each other. And I remember I said in this dream, since we're not going to see each other anymore, and I was trying to get him to give me information, like to teach me some secrets. Then it was like that Futurama version of the narcissist, but he was smaller. He was a little shorter, and his features were more cute, like more cat-like. It was still him, but it's like if they just shrunk him and made it a little cuter. I don't know, like on the cell phones, where it still was him, but then he was smaller and cuter looking. And he wasn't going to be dealing with anymore. So it was like in the beginning he was really fast, like a very fast zombie, maybe something that... I'm thinking of the movie Resident Evil, where they had those Dobermans, and the people that were infected were really fast. He was like that, running after me. So he had just sucked out of my head. Like, he just sucked the blood out of my head, and I could feel, like, the heartbeat in my skull. And so then he was really fast and strong there. And then I saw him later, and he did not just suck the blood out of my brain. So he was like his normal human body. And then I saw him later, and he had like the same body, but it was not toned. It was like a Futurama character where the arms are just straight. It wasn't like Beavis and Butthead, but just like a Futurama character where it was normal and not toned. And then the last dream I saw with the narcissist, it was the same character, but a little smaller and more cutesy. Like if you put him in some filter that like made you cuter. And then I'm not going to see you anymore. Then I saw my last dream, who I recognized as my narc, but it was a different being. So that narcissist had reverted to a cute little cat type creature, even though it was still like the fly type thing. It had like a round head with no hair, and then it had like the round eyes like on Futurama, and then it had a cat mouth and two little fangs that came out. So it was like, oh, I can't. Okay, so you have like this, but the fangs were a part of the lips. So there was a cat-shaped mouth with two fangs, one on each piece of the mouth. I can't describe this very well. I don't remember seeing a nose, and then there were two eyes, and then a round head with no hair, attached to a humanoid body. So I think this was maybe a combination of all the different beings that were in that body. They combined to make one entity. So if you combined all the demons with the serpent, then it maybe would have looked something like that, like a fly-type creature, but it was still kind of cute. It was kind of silly, but at the end it was a cute being. But it was like, It didn't have a nose. And then it was shrunk and smaller. It has big round eyes, and then the cat mouth with two little fangs on it. I don't remember seeing any ears, and that's why I'm thinking maybe it's a combination, because a serpent did not have ears, and it had a big round head. So if you combine that, so it was no longer green once it was combined with other entities. And so the new narcissist, that I felt this is my narcissist, but then it was different beings. Now this narcissist was being rude and devaluing, which I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. But this narcissist did not look like the fly creature. I saw the human body and the way it behaved, and it just walked over. It reminded me, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Jackass, or there was a TV series called Jackass, and I used to watch that when I was young, and I thought it was funny. And some of the stuff, it's just showing off their naked parts. That's not funny. But they would actually hurt themselves a lot, and that's funny. So it's like, okay, if they could censor this so that I could watch it, because I don't want to see naked men. That's not, but actually the show was kind of funny. Like they would go in shopping carts and slam into stuff, and like electrocute each other. Or there was one where the guy went into like a toilet store, and he had his newspaper. He had taken a bunch of laxatives. First time he didn't make it, and so he crapped in his van. And then they had to go back again after his bath, and then he sat on the toilet with his newspaper and was using the toilet as people. Okay, so this show is funny. This show is funny. So there was people in the show like Steve-O, something like that. So my narcissist, the new replacement narcissist, because the other had apparently lost all of his power. The new narcissist just reminded me of one of the men that would have been on, like, not the way he acted, but the way he physically looked like one of the men that would have been on the Jackass show. One of the, like, taller, 6.5 foot tall, not incredibly strong, but not weak, because they're involved in a lot of stunts, but they don't work out. So just like one of those, and just like walked over real quick, and like, we're gonna go do this, and then he like just turned around and walked away. Just like he was Steve-O, or there was another character like that. He kind of looked like that, but I couldn't make out his face too much. But just looked like a human. That's what this new replacement narcissist looked like. And I don't think that narcissist is operating in my life. But I think this was a confirmation when I saw in my last dream that I'm not going to be dealing with my ex-narc anymore. This is what happened to him, and now he's gone. And oh my gosh, I'm just realizing in the dream, if I was going to continue, if we were going to buy this restaurant and make it into a house or something, me and the narcissist, me and the new replacement narcissist, if we were going to buy this and proceed with this, which our plan was, and then he just turned around and walked away, and we were not going to have a future together. So, great! There's no more narcissists in my future. I understand what this means. There's no more narcissists in my future. This was a confirmation that my ex-narc is no longer in my life. I won't see him again. And the new narc just came up to let me know that. And then immediately left, because we don't have any business together. God's not allowing any narcissists in my life anymore. The only reason I saw that one was to let me know that my narc, the spirit that was my narcissist, really was gone forever. Okay, guys, that's the shrinking narc. And this is how the vampirism works. Well, they're sucking your blood in the spirit realm, which you don't see physically. They are very fast and like muscular. And they move quickly like one of those Resident Evil like characters. Like, not the Dobermans, but like if there was a human. And they were really fast, like, and strong. So they were like something from Resident Evil. That's what they move like as soon as they feed off of you. And then they have time without you. They're like their normal human body. And then time goes on, and then they get kind of smaller, and they lose their muscle, and then they get cute. And then they have no power left. So they can't even do anything. So I guess they get pulled out of our lives. And then a replacement would be put in if God permitted it. But I guess if we've learned the lessons that we've needed, and we've ascended, then we don't need another narcissist. That's how it works, guys. Many years, every day, I would just like, I want to say every day, but like many years, I didn't have a good prayer life, I would just quickly pray and I would ask God for wisdom. Like maybe every few days. I never prayed to have a good family. I never prayed to have money. I would just pray because I thought of Solomon and how that was the best thing to pray for. So I just quickly asked God for wisdom. And I would do this every few days for like 10 years or something, maybe not that long. I don't remember exactly. But I didn't pray that much. I didn't want to be selfish and ask like for worldly things occasionally. But I didn't pray the way I should have. And I didn't think that like normal people were as important to God as the prophets. But I did pray for wisdom. And you know what? God has given me wisdom. So guys, it took many dreams over the course of a year to see the progression and how long it took, and what happens to the vampiristic narcissists when they don't have your blood to suck anymore. This is what happens and what they turn into. And remember that a lot of these demons were neutral beings. They just weren't connected to God because God didn't directly make them. God allowed the angels to disobey and create genetically modified hybrids. God allowed them to do so, but God told them not to. Knowing this would already happen, their use, but actually, maybe I should, I'll make a separate video on this later. But I had made, I sat down and wrote it out like 2 or 3 times to make sure it was good. Just like a little contract where the demons could try to put everything back, like fix what they wronged to the best of their ability. And, you know, just pledge not to hurt people anymore. And then they could have ascended bodies and, you know, they could be ascended beings. They would try to put right what they had done wrong. And I never did give this to the narcissist. I had it written down and ready. Maybe I will if I ever see him again, if I have to go to court one day. But maybe that's what's already happening. Maybe that's what's already happening, because these demons are in human bodies, which they've either cloned, or they've gotten people to sell out, or they have people with fractured minds, and then a demon will live in each like fragment of the mind, with child abuse and things like that. So whether they've hijacked a body or just cloned something, or now they have androids, or they're making their own humans in labs. This was in the news last year. However they're doing it, these demons are in the body now. And once they work with us, so it's like the relationship they have with us is that God uses them to train us and prepare us. And so we kind of work through our issues and we ascend while we're with the narcissist. And then, so it's almost like when we're young and we're making mistakes and we're doing things wrong and we hurt other people. Those years we're with the narcissist. So the narcissist is the placeholder while we learn and improve on ourselves. And during this time, though, we still treat the narc pretty well. Well, we maybe don't treat him great, honestly. I mean, they're attacking us all the time. But we treat them better than they treat us. And we do have compassion and empathy, which is the first time that these beings have actually, a lot of them, this is the first time they've ever witnessed compassion and empathy or been treated this way. So even though we're still growing and we do things wrong and we hurt the narcissist, we do, but we do have love and compassion for them. And we try to just do things from the goodness of our heart. And so this teaches the narcissist how to behave and what it's like. And so they think that they can just go get another person, but God doesn't allow that. What happens is they end up with another narc, so they are matched with their counterpart. And they're in a body. Now, it is up to them whether they ascend or not. They don't need to sign my document. They don't need to sign the contract that I wrote up. They are now in a relationship with another narcissist. And so they'll try to kill each other and steal each other's money and slander them and, you know, do all this. And then they'll move to another and it's going to be the same thing. And then it just never gets any better. But then they think back and they remember how we treated them. And they can ascend they can choose to ascend. If they just decide to treat each other well. It doesn't even have to be great. They can just, like, hey, this isn't working. And they think they can move to the next one and get supply, but they're not, because they're with their own kind. And when they realize they're only with their own kind, and they can't be with humans anymore, at this point they're ridiculous. They're so quirky and weird that they could never be with another human again. Unless they're with like an addict or somebody with severe mental issues. So I'm not trying to be mean to anyone, that's not my point. What I'm saying is that when they haven't had an empath to siphon their energy or their blood, and the blood is the energy, the life force, then they're really quite quirky characters, like Wile E. Coyote. It's funny, as I called my ex-narc Wile E. Coyote all the time. But they can't get with another human. They get with their own kind. And once they backstab and betray each other, they're not getting anything, and they end up with nothing. So there's a point where they can decide, hey, what if we try to treat each other good? You know, like when we were with that human. We were with that human 20 years ago. Why don't we try that? So then the narcissist might be able to ascend on their own, and this is possibly a part of God's plan for the redemption of the demons and the narcissists. And this is just something that I thought of. They don't need to sign my contract and make a pledge that their heaven might just come by. They're stuck with their own kind, and things get worse and worse and worse, and the only way to improve their own situation is if they decide logically to treat each other well. And here's one of God's rules, and this is in the Quran. Even if you don't believe that way, and you don't believe in God, and you don't believe in doing things right, you go through the motions. And as you go through the motions, God will change your mind and your heart. So logically they can think, this isn't working, let me try to do things like the empath did. And they start making these right decisions, and they don't care, and they don't like it, they don't really love. But as they go through them, then God will change them, change their mind, so they're able to understand and comprehend love. So, okay guys, thanks for watching.